Hey everyone, it's Ivan with kitbadger.com out here for another gear review, and today talking backpacks. This guy right here, which is the Qui-Ya Light, probably mispronouncing that, by Hill People Gear. So what is it? It is a backpack with tons of cool features and probably the capability of carrying way more than you would ever want to carry. As far as some just kind of dimension stuff, one, this backpack, fairly light, weighs 4 pounds, and if you want to actually use it to carry like any significant weight for a period of time, you'll want this also, which is their Prairie Belt. It can be actually used on its own or obviously in conjunction with this pack. Altogether that weighs, I think, 5 pounds, which is pretty wild considering what this will actually carry. Dimensions on here, you're looking at, I think, 30 inches by 13 by about 10 deep. And with it, I'll go over, I guess, some of the compartments and stuff, and yeah, there's a lot to go over. Up top, we'll start up top, I guess. You have a big compartment, basically top loading. And with this top compartment, the zipper opens basically behind your head. Undo that, obviously put whatever you want in there. I usually keep, well, stuff I'm gonna want access to when I'm backpacking, like on the move, going to wherever I'm going. Inside here, this is your main storage compartment. You can fit a ton of stuff inside there. And then also, this is pretty cool, there's basically another storage compartment between the main pack itself and this outer pack. And then this outer pack, open that up. Also, I guess inside this outer pack, there's this mesh divider, which further separates that pack, where, again, depending on how you carry stuff, you can carry stuff there that you maybe want access to. Generally, for my own part, everything I'm going to want access, or the main things I want access to, I actually just keep up top on the pack. I guess we'll continue around the back. These, I'll show you more, but basically it's 550 cord. Oh yeah, with respect to materials, I believe it is like 320D Cordura on most of the pack, and then high wear places 500D. These are pretty cool. It's a way to cinch the pack. Show you more on that later. Also, there's a number of places around the pack where you have this shot cord, which allows you to lash kind of anything, to include maybe you want to put your trekking poles there because you don't need them at the time, something like that. And then also on both sides, you have pretty generous container or pouch rather for water bottles if you like to carry them there. Suspension we'll go over in a second. It's really cool. What else kind of around the outside of the pack? Yeah, that's probably it. I guess I'll show you the suspension now. If you're familiar with their packs at all, or if you've seen my review on the Tara Hamura pack, you'll probably recognize this kind of like yoke they have here, which is pretty cool and pretty unique as far as kind of in the pack space. Usually you'll just have shoulder straps just come over. They might have risers here, but they're just coming straight from the pack over. This is pretty neat in that this basically comes up and over your shoulders. Does a really good job with the weight, and the way it's done is this piece back here, which you can actually adjust with that webbing there to lengthen or loosen it. And as you can see, there's this metal D-ring that it moves on. What that also means, or how that works as far as with this thing riding, the pack can actually move a little bit independent of you, not just like drag you to one side or the other, which is really nice in use. And this just carries really, really well. Back here, there's this padded lumbar support, and then there's full-length aluminum stays, 75 aluminum, I believe. They're removable. I don't know why you'd remove them other than if you wanted to adjust them to your body. So there's a really old video over there on their site, goes over how to adjust it. I watched it, played around with it, and then quickly found out like, oh, the way they came is actually perfect. So unless you have some crazy spinal thing going on, probably the way they come already pre-bent is the way they need to be. Also, as I'd mentioned, kind of on the back with shot cord, there's more of that up front too, as well as a sternum strap. This stuff actually does come in handy for me. Usually I will actually, depending on the time of year, If I start to warm up, I'll put gloves in there, cinch those tight, they stay there, or a beanie, whatever it may be. But yeah, guess go over some more things on it. You also have this grab handle on the top of the pack, which is nice, especially when it's heavy. I'll basically bring this thing up, throw it onto one leg, and make sure that's not gonna get caught in there. Get one arm in there, and then go ahead, swing it around, get the other arm in there. As far as the way this thing rides really, really nice. This hip belt is also really, really nice, and I like the way they do it. Basically, kind of, I don't know, some sort of like polymer Cobra buckle. But clip it in, and then you have these that pull away from you to tighten it. Unlike the old ones where you're trying to pull back this way, you can get a lot more force like pushing in that way. And then of course your sternum strap, you're going to strap that, and you can probably see that there's some space back there. I don't know, hopefully you can. I feel it. Really nice with respect to this just breathing while you're moving under load. And the ability for this to actually move some when you're going over uneven stuff rather than just have it completely rigid is also really nice. Like, that's not how the body moves. Other things worth mentioning. There are these pieces which you can adjust that basically just, again, help take the load, grabbing the right strap, down here on the prairie belt. Also with the prairie belt, there's basically like PALS webbing. Do I use it? You can use it. I don't know. I'm always changing things out, in part, always trying different gear. So I've yet to kind of figure out maybe what I want to put on here. If I put anything, it would probably be something dedicated for a water bottle. But usually what happens is, depending on what I'm carrying, how I'm carrying, often a pistol, I will take something I'm usually carrying strong side, and usually have DCC clips on it, discrete carry concepts, really strong, super durable. And I will go ahead, and since it's made for strong side, right-handed in the waist, I'll pull it off, the clips are on that side, just reverse it, boom, put it on there. It's now outside the waistband, left-handed draw. Do I care? No, spent a year shooting left-handed, so yeah, I'll draw it left-handed, doesn't matter. And then it's really handy because, one, those DCCs are not easy to come off the PALS, but once you get it off, go ahead, get to camp, throw it back on my belt, good to go when I'm not wearing this. But yeah, I don't know. You can, of course, put all kinds of stuff there. I just generally don't because I haven't found something I wanted on there. As far as taking this thing off, I always just loosen that, undo that guy, undo this Cobra buckle, and drop my pack. But I guess kind of go over how I've used this. I've used this pack on quite a few adventures out in the backcountry. A number of different backpacking trips, and it continues to just do a really good job for me. One of the things I like is how well it carries. And a big part of it is basically this yoke system. Again, this thing is, the pack is not riding directly on your back like most conventional backpacks. And so with that, you actually get airflow moving in there, stay a lot cooler. Also, this thing just comfortably carries quite a bit of weight. As far as what it can carry, man, I want to say this thing will carry like 150 pounds, something ridiculous. Last time I carried a pack over 100 pounds was in the Marine Corps. Zero desire to ever do it again. But if I ever needed to, like, this will do the thing. Frankly, I try to pack as light as I can, but it doesn't ever really work because camera gear, surprise, there's 10 pounds. Now you can start packing stuff. So it's never very light, no matter what. And then on top of that, usually carrying other things to go film for review and whatnot out in the backcountry. So it is what it is. Which is, however, one of the things I do like though, is this actually will carry a lot. Like I said, I think 85 liters. Like, that's a giant volume. Not to mention the ability to store a ton of stuff on the outside with all these different lash straps. These are really cool too. I'll show you more on those in a minute. Oh, and since I see this and I remember, these are actually really cool. These little compasses, I'm trying to remember who makes it. Thermometerworks.com. Oh, that's where I got it, apparently. But they basically will track temperature. So I started it when I started this trip. And if I hold that down, the high was 81 so far, and the low last night was 48 degrees. Kind of cool. I like just keeping it on my pack and just see what the temperatures are in parks. I'm usually trying different sleeping bags. There are a number of straps to include these, which will actually come over the top, more or less like compression straps to compress stuff down. I'm not usually worried about that compression so much as it's nice to sometimes strap things kind of across the top of the pack, which I find those come in handy for there. Other things, I'm not sure. Like I said, I put in a lot of miles with this and it rides really well, which is really important because I probably can't see very well, but up above me, like a lot of places I go, be crossing like big granite boulder fields and stuff like that. And so being able to have a pack that actually rides well, especially when it might be like a no fall zone, i.e. if you fall, you will be broken or dead. Yeah, you want a pack that rides well. And this absolutely does that. What can fit inside this pack? Well, since I have my whole camp set up right here, I'm actually about to break it down. So I will get everything broken down and then, basically go over packing it, how I pack it, and belay my last. I forgot. I just found my Tenkura rod. So before I pack up everything, I'm actually going to go do a tiny bit more fishing. And then I'll pack it all up. Okay, no luck today. I'm gonna go ahead and pack up. But yesterday I actually did have some good luck and caught a couple pretty nice little cutthroat. So I'm gonna get everything broken down and packed up. All right, now to get the stuff into my pack. So there's different schools of thought. I usually, and what works out best for me, is usually packing lighter things at the bottom and heavier things at the top. I've heard opposing views. For me, this actually carries the best in my experience. So with that, I have my tent in here. I'm gonna go ahead, shove that guy to the bottom. I then have my sleeping bag. That guy in there, and then, well, whatever. I'll unpack it in a little bit. So I have my poles for my pack. I'll go ahead and put those over on this side, which is going to be my tripod side. And this guy usually goes in this outer pocket because it fits just perfectly. And then the other stuff I usually put in here is like cook stuff. Honestly, usually I go in here. And stuff I generally don't want in that main compartment. So fuel canister, also going in here. Have my sleeping pad, inflatable pillow. I think it's nice. This guy, I reviewed it before. It's basically a little air pump and there we go. It's a lantern, which is pretty cool, dual use. And then other things I usually throw in there in no particular order. Basically like my little fishing kit. You know, I showed that mesh divider. I'll usually put that back there. And then I'll usually end up throwing some other odds and ends like some clothes, sometimes layers that I want to get to because of the weather. Doesn't really matter. But like I'll put a shell or something back there. I'm gonna just go ahead and put those layers right there for now. And then we got to finish kind of the main, I don't want to do the main compartment. Well, we will in a second. So, all right, we'll just do it now. The reason I don't want to is because I have to unpack it in a minute, which, whatever, I will. But this right here is my camera, or where my camera rides when I'm not, where my camera rides when I'm not filming. So what I do like about this pack is basically the space I have that this will actually fit in it, like width-wise. Then usually here comes down to how you actually carry and drink water. For my own part, what I don't like to do is just constantly sip on water. And because of the way I carry stuff, it's not very practical either. So when I stop to drink water, I stop to drink water. And so I'll actually carry my water in my pack, and I will access it when I need that inside my pack. So again, I'll show you all this. It makes sense, or at least it works for me anyway. Because again, like I'm stopping to drink. So I don't mind getting water out of there because of the way I have other stuff set up. Kindle, because I like reading books sometimes. Have a saw, that usually goes up there. Gloves, definitely important, especially dealing with firewood, that goes up there. And then I'll have this Qui-Ya Light pouch, which is kind of a catch-all. All kinds of stuff is in here, to include a little first aid kit of sorts. That will go in there, as well as like toothbrush, toothpaste, stuff like that. And getting a little low, toilet paper also goes in there. And all that stuff stays up top, easy to get to. Now, the sides. So, depending on how I'm traveling, I will bring things with me, like maybe a rifle. Again, depending on what I'm doing, whether I'm hunting or sometimes bring stuff up for review. And so how do you carry that? Well, Hill People Gear actually makes something pretty cool where you can basically, I want to say the stock, it sits in like a little toe hold and it's kind of clipped in. So it keeps your arms free, you can use trekking poles, whatever, and then you can unsnap it, draw the gun away. If that was your only gun, like if you're not carrying a pistol or if you're hunting, I guess that makes sense. I am not doing either of those. So what I'll do is I'll actually just break this gun down and take out this rear pin, get the front pin. And I showed you this little pocket up here. So put those in before they break. This piece actually comes over and buckles, and you can cinch it like essentially a compression strap if you have a ton of stuff inside there. And then I'll run this guy down the front. Probably should have did it before I packed that other stuff, but here we are. I said on this side I put the poles, which means on this other side is going to be my rifle, or the upper. And just to keep this, what got on there? Something I would have rather not, well, happened. We'll wipe it on that clean looking dirt. Perfect. So take this bag, more than anything, like honestly wouldn't usually do it, except this gun is super dirty because I haven't cleaned it for a long time, so I don't need carbon on everything and don't really need the optic getting beat up either. Oh, see, speaking of carbon, it could be ash. All right, so poles are on the other side. Loosen this guy. And then I'm basically going to feed this down through all of this 550 cord, all the way down into so many knobs and things to get stuck on. But it's going to go all the way down into that bottom pocket there, which in part is why I'm not carrying a water bottle in there. So now I have this on this side. And I mentioned these are compression straps. So take this guy here, basically lift the whole pack up, and then cinch that thing down. And everything is pulled in right there, really nice and tight. So what about the other side? Well, the other side I'm not gonna do because the camera's sitting on a tripod right now. But I will loosen this, run my tripod all the way down into that pocket, and then cinch that up tight. And then these guys go across the top. Again, you have plenty of space. There's these keepers here, kind of keep your extra material out of the way. Usually I don't use it to cinch this down so much as to put something on top. So by way of example, if I want to put like a rain layer, I'm like, man, it's about to rain, put a rain layer right there on the outside. Otherwise, it'll sit in the very top, something like that. But yeah, that is how I have this thing packed up. What about my other little odds and ends? Well, they will find a home. Like I said, I'm not done packing because I'm still filming the video. Once I finish the video, I'll actually take my camera apart, take this partially apart, repack the camera, get to a tripod on the other side, all the little odds and ends will get back in there. But this pack's rad. I really like it. It does a lot and can fit a lot. It also isn't overly heavy with the ability to carry lots of stuff. And one of the things that's personally important for me is, like demonstrated with this, because I can't show you the tripod, being able to carry stuff like that, namely a tripod more than anything. Because if I have to put the tripod inside my pack, like there's no good way for that to go. And then it just eats up a ton of space. And then if I try and put it across somehow, like strap it on, then you're snagging on stuff, like it sticks out further than you would want it to. So a way to integrate it vertically into a pack, actually really cool. And no, I've been really pleased with this. They're really good, well-made packs. And I think this does a good job of kind of bridging that gap between the ability to carry a lot of weight comfortably, being really well made, and not overly heavy. Like I said, totally slick with that prairie belt, which you can take off. Don't know why I wouldn't. But with all that stuff, 5 pounds. Is that heavy? Not really. Is it super light? No, you can definitely get a lighter pack. But when you're starting off with 10 pounds of camera equipment, a 5-pound pack, and the ability to carry all the stuff, like, cool, I'll take it. Easy day. So yeah, I've been really pleased with this setup. If it's something, oh yeah, also I guess worth mentioning, because of these compression straps, you can have this thing almost empty and have everything cinched down and it still carries well. So if you're getting to here, for example, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go for a day hike up to a peak, which I actually did today. I obviously pulled most of the stuff out that I didn't need, cinched everything down, carried great, climbing up over boulder fields, and yeah, had my food with me, had a nice little lunch, good times. So the ability to scale, also pretty important. But if this is something you're interested in, there'll be a link down below, you can check it out. And yeah, as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.